Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Goddess Coach. I'm Erin Rosa Crow, and today I'm going to be sharing with you something that I've crazily done, not once, not twice, but a few times. This festive season, the end of the year, reminds me that a lot of schools are closed. That means a lot of parents are going to be taking their children away for holidays, and there has been occasion where a mommy or sometimes a daddy might need to travel alone with their children. And since I've done it a few times, I've had so many people, friends, even the air crew asking me, how do you travel alone with 4 kids? And the amazing thing is, not to trumpet myself, but my kids have been quite, really they've been gems on board. They've given me no issues. So I thought it's about time I share with you my top tips. So, tip number 1. Preparation is the key. So prepare your kids. So for example, before you leave, at least a week before, talk to them about the airport, talk to them about flights, about aeroplanes, about maybe train station and different modes of transportation, and make a countdown calendar. This is what we do with our children too. So for example, if you're going to if you're flying off to Denmark for Christmas, so my husband and I will make a countdown calendar together with the advent calendar, that okay, how many more days till we fly off to Copenhagen. Tip number 2. Book a direct flight, preferably. And if you cannot book a direct flight, because of course it's preferable to have a direct flight because there's been no kerfuffle taking your bags and get kids out of the plane, try and make the transit as short as possible. So it's like to the plane, and then you fly, and then you get out at the airport, and then within 2 hours you're back in another plane. And then so the shorter the flying time for the children, I found that it is much easier, unless you're making the transit a whole, like a little mini holiday. For example, I'm from Changi Airport. It's got a really wonderful amenities. There's like a cinema, there's a science center, there's a butterfly park. So for a lot of people, Changi Airport becomes like a mini vacation. So you can have a shower, you can get a massage and things like that. So that could be another option if you want to make the transit a long one. And for those with a baby, do book your bassinet seat pretty early, because a lot of long-legged travelers also prefer those extra leg room. So do book your bassinet seat as soon as possible. So sometimes even when you're booking, if you are booking a baby seat, which means that you don't get a chair, the airline would actually already automatically reserve a bassinet for you. But don't take that for granted. Do give them a call, or when you can check in 72 hours before your flight, do make sure that you actually get on the line, get on the phone and talk to customer service and make sure you get a bassinet even reserved for you. Tip number 4. On the day of travel, make sure your bags are properly packed. Each child has at least 1 extra set of clothing. And for flights that are longer than 7 hours, try and pack about 2 sets. Because, accidents can happen. Maybe somebody's done number 1 or a messy number 2, or even up this way. So you want to make sure that you are covered for every eventualities. And I find that bringing a spare nappy or a spare diaper than what you calculated needed is also very handy. And I also find that bringing a large colorful burp cloth is actually quite handy, because I can use it as a large blanket, I can use it as a wiping cloth, and even as a mini curtain when the baby's sleeping, to cover, when it's service time and baby's sleeping in the bassinet. That becomes kind of like a, to cover their eyes from the light when the lights are being turned on. And also for night flights, do pack their PJs, as it helps them settle in easier because they're wearing something more comfortable, something that they're familiar with. Tip number 5, mommies or daddies to some extent, do wear comfortable clothes. I try to remain stylish when I'm traveling, So I tend to stick to block colors. If you are worried about baby that have 6 all the time, then maybe you can wear something a bit more, colorful with a lot of floral, so you can't see when baby's been sick on you. And also, I tend to wear a scarf when I travel because it helps. I take my scarf up and I kind of use it as a scarf when I'm sleeping, because I get frizzy hair, when you be kind of like tossing and turning on your seat because you don't really get to sit down properly. So that becomes like a hairnet for me. But also it becomes like a mini blanket, for me, like a pashmina, or even for the children. But also pack yourself extra socks if you do not get any care pack on board, so at least you get some spare socks. Do you know why? Because if you do have a fiddly shoes, even wearing, say, a pair of trainers, if you need to run in and out of the aisle, trust me, you're going to be doing a lot of that. You want to make sure that you just have a spare sock, and clean sock for when you are ready to land. Tip number 6. Now, if your child, I've got a boy who's prone to travel sickness, make sure they've had their travel sickness medication at least 30 minutes before you're due to fly or before you take off. And also pack a spare plastic bag for that Technicolor emergency. It happens. Tip number 7. Let your child or your children pack their own backpack or a mini cabin bag. Guide them to having a good mix of reading books, sticker books. That's very, very popular. Lots of sticker books. Nintendo DF, you still have one, or the iPads or something, and a small toy. And do not forget to remind them to pack their soft, cuddly toy for that comfort time, that sleeping time when you're away overseas. You don't want them to be missing and crying in the middle of the night. Okay, tip number 8. Now you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to go to the airport a little bit earlier than you would if you're traveling alone. Now, because security procedure can be quite long and it can be quite scary for a lot of children. It can be very daunting. Even as an adult, we get stressed out when we're faced with the likes of the TSA or the airport security. They look so fierce, so stern. So you want to make sure that you're there on time. And also, if it's possible, do ask for help. Approach an officer and said, I'm a mommy traveling alone. I've got so many kids. Could you help me out? Can you give me a lane that's, more child-friendly? And more often than not, I have been very lucky that I've been given a lane that's either child-friendly, or they would close the lane for me and let other passengers go to other lanes while they let me settle up. Because don't forget, you take your shoes off, you take your jackets off, and with me, it's for 5 people. I've got to look after 5 children, jackets and shoes and bags and everything. So it's quite a backup of queue. So it's nice when they do help you with that. Now, tip number 9. This is especially for maybe the daddies if you're traveling alone, but also for the mummies. As much as you want to relax, do skip that bottle of wine or that pitcher of beer. Make sure you have something to eat when possible, and grab that coffee while you're still quite relaxed at the airport. Keep smiling and stay relaxed. Your kids will feel your stress, so no matter how young they are, stay zen, stay calm. Now, tip number 10. When you're at the waiting gate, smile as much as possible to anyone looking at you. Yes, as long as they look at you, give them your nicest smile. De-arm these people, de-arm them, so to say. Make small talk to anyone sitting next to you, or anyone that kind of makes a cute remark to your kid. Just engage them in conversation. Because I always say, you never know who's going to be your traveling mates, people sitting next to your aisle or in front of you or behind you. So I always say it pays to be nice to everyone, because you never know, you might need this person's help during the flight. So that's my tip. Tip number 11. When the call comes for the early boarding for families, for people with small children or the handicaps, do get there on time. Do make full use of that extra time available given to you. You will need the time to collapse your stroller or your baby's buggy, and make sure, like for me, that 1 or 2 kids has not run off on their own somewhere else, and do stay calm. Take your time to collapse your buggy, whatever that needs to be done, to grab your bags, sort out underneath your buggy all your little, stuff that you cram in there, your little pillows and blankets. Don't worry, they're just going to sit there and wait for you. So you just take your time to do what you have to do. Tip number 12. Once you're in the seat, get everyone settled in. Get them excited about, the whole plane, the seat in front of them, the amenities on board. These days there are USB chargers in front of you, and the entertainment systems on board. So do get them familiarized with the entertainment system. But also, this is my extra tip for you. Bring your child's own headphones from home, because the ones that they give sometimes free on board generally are way too big for little people's head. So I've had a little baby, my 2-year-old then 3-year-old, was like, because the earphone keeps falling off, and she's trying to watch a nice movie, and she got frustrated because it keeps coming off. So we've learned, I actually bought everyone their own headphones, so they plug it in, and these days it works with just a single pin. So yeah, that's my extra tip. And also, because you've got your USB charger on board, do bring your USB cable for your mobile phone or your tablet, because then that's extra entertainment for little people around in case there's any fights or whatsoever. Tip number 13. Takeoff and the landing, the pressure can be a little bit hard on little ears. So if you have a mommy of a young baby, while they're strapped to you before takeoff, this is a good time actually to give them a feed, or even just a little suckle, a little bit of a little taste of milk. And for toddlers or children a little bit older, maybe bring a boiled sweet or mini lollipop and get them to suckle on it, to kind of chew on it, because it does help with the to let the ears pop, really, because it gets the saliva going, so they're constantly swallowing. Okay, tip number 14. Now, if you have requested for a child's meal earlier, which I would recommend that you do that, this will be served first. So depending on the flight time, meals are normally served about an hour and a half into the flight. So you've got an hour and a half to kind of entertain them, do different activities, different books. And then when the meal time comes, you will be served first. So actually it's a good opportunity for you to just feed them and concentrate on feeding them, and you don't have to worry about yourself. Now, if you've got children who are a little bit fussy, like some of mine have been, do pack your own baby food. Like I normally buy like Hip Organic, so you've got really nice little flavors. Do be warned though, just to be reminded that taste buds do change on air because of the pressure. For some reason, we don't taste food the same way we do on land. So for your child, if they're fussy, please cut them some slack, because they might not taste the food as nice as they remember. Like if you brought like macaroni and cheese or whatever, it might not be as nice as it is on land. Once they're done eating, then get a movie going with entertainment system, get them settled in, and then you can get your own meal brought to you. Okay, tip number 15. Once our meals are cleared, if this is a day flight, do take your child walking up and down the aisle. Towards the end of the plane, there is like a special place where, it's a bit of a bigger space, a bit of a galley where you can kind of stretch out. So I always encourage my children to do funny, silly yogic stretching, make it fun for them. We do a bit of stretching, giggling, or funny faces, whatever, just to kind of expand the energy a little bit. And sometimes walking up and down the aisle, they might be making a friend or two along the way, just to kind of get friendly with people, make them feel relaxed and everything. Now, and if this is a night flight, a toilet break is called for, and also do change them into their PJs. Get their bottle of milk warmed up if you have to. And then I also taught my kids to use the eye mask given on board, or I bring my own to get them to stop any possible lights from affecting their sleep when they're ready to go to bed. Tip number 16, do be prepared to have very little rest or very little sleep. Drink as much fluid as possible. Stay hydrated with good makeup products. I talk about this in my, I think 2 videos ago. I talk about using products to stay hydrated on board. And keep breathing calmly to stay zen. I cannot repeat this enough. Stay zen, stay calm. Tip number 17. If a child decides to kick up a fuss, stay calm. Don't panic. Do not let the disapproving eyes of those non-parent travelers bore into your back. speak calmly to your child, give them a big hug, and just using a very soft voice, a sushing voice, really kind of like, it's okay. Don't worry, tell them that you care about the discomfort. Maybe it's they're missing their doggy already, or maybe they're missing home, or maybe they're missing, the daddy who's being left behind, or maybe they're just very tired. Carry them to the back of the plane and distract them with maybe the help of any understanding flight crew. Maybe it's the fancy gadgets in the cruise galley, distract them with something, get the flight crew to maybe have a chat with them, like kind of make googly voices with their babies or toddlers, ask the crew, what's that? What does this do? What is all these lights for? Sometimes a stranger can distract kids better than you. If not, I tend to go to the back of the plane. There's always a little window at the back. Look out the window. Maybe you can talk about the orange hue in the distance. Is it sunlight? Is it sunset? Maybe talk about the clouds. Maybe look out for ships in the clouds. So all these are distraction methods that could hopefully calm your child down. Tip number 18. Did I mention that you have to channel Mother Teresa's Zen or calm? Have I? Yes, I'm going to tell you again. Remember that your child pick up your aura. So if it's a very stressed one, so will they be. And if you are, you know what? It's very stressful traveling alone. Like I said, I've done it so many times, and every time I do it, I keep telling myself, never again, never again. It is so stressful. But I never let my children see it. I always become the best actress in the world. I'm always smiling, I'm always laughing. I always think like, and if something is very stressful, I do share it with the older ones. I do get them to see from my point of view what's going on. What do you think could have been done better? Things like that. And I remember, they're only small for a short while. And if you do make this trip of an adventurous one, you can only imagine how much better your next trip will be. So these are my top tips, my 18 top tips. If you got more tips that I have not covered, do share with me because I'd love to know. I'm going to be traveling again this weekend alone with 4 children to Denmark for Christmas. So wish me luck. Thankfully, it is not a 17-hour flight like we did before. It's only going to be a couple of hours away, but still, traveling alone will always be stressful. So the best thing you can do is smile and stay calm. And for now, I bid you have a good day. And if you've got any questions, send me an email, write to me. And if you like to, subscribe and click like to this video. I look forward to speaking to you again. Bye.